Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into, honestly, one of the absolute most bizarre and highly specific corners of the entire internet. We're talking about the Go Animate subculture. Now, if you aren't familiar, this is a user-generated animation universe that follows its own incredibly rigid, completely surreal, and honestly punishing laws of physics and morality. We're going to treat the events of the source material today like a meticulously documented true crime investigation, because, well, within the context of this world, the stakes are literally life and death. We're looking at a totally chaotic saga involving abuse, interdimensional police intervention, and a remarkably harsh justice system. All right, let's just dive right into this.
So, our inciting incident actually starts with a phone call, and the sheer absurdity of this premise is just fascinating. A user named EnryGamer6 calls the actual literal Go Animate City police station to report a crime he witnessed on YouTube. He explicitly tells them, "I just watched a terrible video. His family killed him by throwing him into the sea." He's talking about classic Caillou, who was subjected to this horrific ordeal by his parents, Boris and Doris, and his siblings. And here's the kicker. In this universe, the police don't just dismiss a YouTube video as fiction. No way. They take it as hard, documentary evidence of an ongoing crime. They analyze the video, confirm the severity of the abuse, and immediately mobilize a strike team.
All right, here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. Arresting the abuse of parents. 2. The Go Animate court trial. 3. The ultimate punishment day. 4. Arresting the creator. And 5. Caillou's new life.
Okay, jumping right into Section 1, arresting the abusive parents.
Now, to fully grasp the absolute danger classic Caillou is in, we have to understand the concept of the ultimate punishment day. Caillou had just received a dead meat card on Behavior Card Day for the 6th time. And in this subculture, a dead meat card is an immediate trigger for an ultimate punishment day. This isn't just, getting grounded with no TV. This is a severe, multi-step disciplinary event that involves brutal, painful, and quite literally lethal punishments. Classic Caillou's parents, Boris and Doris, alongside his siblings, brother Caillou and sister Rosie, are fully prepared to subject him to unimaginable torment.
And guys, this just brilliantly shows how the Go Animate justice system actually works. Just as Boris announces the very first punishment, which is beating Caillou with a spike bat, the Go Animate City police literally kick the door down. The authorities from EnryGamer6's universe actively cross universal boundaries to intervene in the Tiger Noir Go Animate universe. They interrupt the spike bat punishment right in the absolute nick of time, arresting Boris, Doris, brother Caillou, and Rosie. They inform the family that full evidence of their crimes was provided via YouTube, pull classic Caillou to safety, and transport the abusers completely out of their native universe to face justice.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Go Animate court trial.
So we're in the courtroom, and the judge is laying out the massive amounts of psychological and physical damage inflicted on classic Caillou. But astonishingly, Boris, Doris, and the siblings plead not guilty. They claim Caillou was just a troublemaker who deserved to be punished 24/7. Because of this totally wild plea, a massive roster of highly specific YouTube avatars is called to the stand. I mean, we have Smash King 2844 and Cassie, Zombie Gamer 1234, Supersonic Fan and his female clone, and even Shadow the Hedgehog, the Go Animator. They all take the stand to unequivocally declare the family guilty of extreme child abuse.
What's absolutely crucial here is the evidence they present. The testimonies reveal this shocking, completely surreal history of themed punishment days. The family didn't just ground him. Actually, scratch that, they pushed him off of roof. On a Halloween punishment day, they forced him to watch the movie Scream 6 just to intentionally give him nightmares. During a Thanksgiving punishment day, they literally had him mauled by cannibalistic turkeys. And of course, there was the incident where they killed him by throwing him into the sea. Though, as the judge casually notes, Go Animate logic somehow brought him back to life. It is just an overwhelming mountain of bizarre, undeniable evidence.
Once the testimonies wrap up, the judge hands down the final verdicts, and wow, the Go Animate justice system proves to be utterly merciless. The sister, Rosie, gets 60 years in Go Animate City's prison. The brother, Caillou, gets 75 years for his involvement, which included pushing his brother off that roof. And for the parents, Boris and Doris, for charges of abuse, torture, and attempted murder, they are officially sentenced to death by the electric chair.
Which brings us to Section 3, the ultimate punishment day.
But wait, the judge rules that before they face the electric chair,
Boris and Doris must endure their very own ultimate punishment day, completely orchestrated by classic Caillou and his internet friends. The sequence is rapid-fire and wildly escalating. First, they're pepper sprayed directly in the eyes. Second, they endure concussion time delivered by a character named Chef Rush. Third, they're forced to drink expired milk. Fourth, they get beaten with the very spike bats they intended to use on their son. And later on, they're forced to take a freezing cold shower, get their heads shaved, and finally, their beloved house is just completely blown up.
Now there is a highly specific financial torture included in this lineup too. For their sixth punishment, classic Caillou explicitly targets their wallets. Knowing his parents have over 10 grand on their credit cards, Caillou and his friends go on a massive shopping spree at GameStop. Boris and Doris are forced to just sit there and watch as their son drains their accounts to buy all the video games he ever wanted, transferring his new belongings to his brand new house. It's a uniquely modern, uniquely Go-anime form of retribution for sure. So after surviving a final attack by, you guessed it, a swarm of minions spawned by Go-anime logic, Boris and Doris issue this desperate, tearful apology. But nope, it is 100% denied. They're strapped into the electric chair. When the officer asks classic Caillou if he'd like to do the honors, he eagerly agrees. With a cheerful goodbye, classic Caillou pulls the switch, ending his parents' reign of terror permanently.
Now for a massive meta twist in Section 4, Arresting the Creator.
Yeah, we are completely shattering the fourth wall right here. The perspective shifts to the so-called real-world creator of these abusive videos, a user named Tiger Noir. Tiger Noir is literally sitting at his computer reading an online article about how his own animated versions of Boris and Doris were just arrested, subjected to a punishment day, and executed by other Go-Animate users. He acknowledges it but kind of brushes it off, boasting that at least he is more popular than those Go kids.
And this is where you see just how deep the accountability goes in this universe. Suddenly, the cops literally bang on Tiger Noir's door. They don't just stay in the animation software. In front of Tiger Noir's real-world parents, the police arrest the creator himself. His crime? Cyberbullying innocent users online and utterly bafflingly committing child abuse by creating the violent Punishment Day videos against the fictional character classic Caillou. His own real-world parents immediately disown his actions, totally agreeing with the police that making his characters throw Caillou into a digital sea constitutes actual child abuse.
So what happens to the creator? Tiger Noir is hauled off by the authorities and handed a totally staggering sentence: life in prison. He's thrown into this sparse cell with absolutely no TV, no laptop, and notably, no toilet. He's doomed to spend the rest of his life incarcerated purely for the way he manipulated digital avatars on YouTube.
Let's look at the aftermath in Section 5, Caillou's new life.
The ripple effects of this whole trial just completely reshaped the Go-Animate universe. The supporting cast faced some incredibly severe consequences. Brother Caillou, who is currently serving his 75-year sentence, is visited by his girlfriend Emily. Disgusted by his involvement in the abuse, she permanently breaks up with him, leaving him to cry in his cell. But it goes even further than that. Even the school teachers, Miss Martin and Miss Clementine, lose their jobs and are sentenced to life in prison simply for allowing the child abuse to continue under their watch at school.
But for classic Caillou himself, the clouds have finally parted. In the past, he was constantly tortured, thrown into frozen water, and terrorized by an abusive family. Today, his present looks incredibly bright. He's been adopted by new supportive parents named Napoli Animate and Marie Animate. He actually got a job as a pizza maker at a Cool Kids pizzeria, and he is now officially dating his brother's ex-girlfriend Emily. He does, however, acknowledge the severe mental toll of his past, noting that he is actively seeing a therapist every 2 weeks for complex PTSD treatment to help process the trauma of his previous universe.
Classic Caillou wraps up his story by reflecting on this newfound peace. No more murder, no more punishment days, but he leaves us with a lingering, kind of unsettling thought. He mentions that he is still deeply worried about another character, Dora, in Ghost City, who is currently being abused by her parents. He notes the police are actively looking for her to arrest her parents next. It leaves us with a pretty provocative question. Just how vast is this Go-Animate justice system? And who is going to be the next to face an ultimate punishment day? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning the media you consume, no matter what universe it comes from.